Good morning, students. How are you doing all? Good? That's great. So today we are going to start chapter 2 from the book First Flight, and the title of the chapter is Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. So I am very much sure that you would have heard the name of Nelson Mandela and his contribution to the world, that because of him how the black people fought against the white people for their rights. So this is an extract which has been taken from his autobiography. So let's start the reading of the chapter. Before you read, apartheid is a political system that separates people according to their race. You must be familiar with this term apartheid, in which the discrimination is being done on the basis of the color of the skin, the black and the white. Can you say which of the following three countries named below had a political system until very recently? Was it United States of America or South Africa or Australia? So you need to tell me the right answer. That's good. It's South Africa. Have you heard of Nelson Mandela? Absolutely. I don't think there would be anyone who would not have heard this name. And his African National Congress, like we have Indian National Congress, he has formed African National Congress and spent a lifetime fighting against apartheid. Mandela had to spend 30 years in prison. He has spent 3 decades in prison. Finally, democratic elections were held in South Africa in 1994, and Mandela became the first black president of a new nation. So, after spending 30 years, or after a, never-ending struggle of 3 decades, finally South Africa was declared as a democratic country in 1994, and he became the first black president of a new nation. In this extract, which has been taken from his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, the name of his autobiography is Long Walk to Freedom, Mandela speaks about a historic occasion, the inauguration. So in that particular, we will be reading about the inauguration part or the ceremony. Can you guess what the occasion might be? Check your guess with the news item from the BBC. This is British Broadcasting of 10th May 1994. So let's read what was the news given in the BBC on 10th May 1994. The title of the news was Mandela becomes South Africa's first black president. Nelson Mandela has become South Africa's first black president after more than 3 centuries of white rule. Mr. Mandela's African National Congress Party won 252 of 400 seats in first democratic elections of South Africa's history. So how many seats were won by the ANC? 252 out of 400. That's why the democratic elections were won by the people, and first democratic elections, these were the first democratic elections in South Africa's history. The inauguration ceremony took place in Union Building Amphitheatre in Pretoria today, attended by politicians, dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. So this was the inauguration ceremony in which the ministers took sworn in, and you know that when the election has been completed, and then there is a sworning ceremony organized in which the would-be ministers are going to sworn in, or it is also known as the oath-taking ceremony. So it was held in Union Building Amphitheatre in Pretoria and was attended by the politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. Never, never again will this beautiful land experience the oppression of one by another. One race was being oppressed by the another for more than 3 centuries. The black were oppressed by the whites for more than 3 centuries, said Nelson Mandela in his address. jubilant scenes. It was a matter of, or it was an occasion of great pomp and show, and the whole South Africa was in jubilant or cheerful mood. And these scenes of streets of Pretoria, followed by ceremony with the blacks, the whites, the colored, celebrating together. More than 1 lakh South African men and women and children of all races means black, white and the different one, also sang and danced with joy. So you can also compare this with the freedom which we got on 15th August 1947, that what kind of the emotions were oozing out or oodles out in the hearts of people when they got freedom. Now it's an activity time. In column A there are some expression you will find in the text and make a guess and match each expression with an appropriate meaning from column B, that you will be doing of your own when we will be proceeding with the reading of the chapter. Okay, after the completion you can complete it. Next one is, now we'll start the reading of the chapter. We are talking about 10th May 1994, a red letter day in the history of South Africa, because the first democratic elections were won by ANC by, grabbing 252 seats out of 400. So let's talk about 10th May dawned bright and clear. For the past few days I had been pleasantly besieged by the dignitaries and the world leaders who were coming to pay their respect before the inauguration. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders of South Africans on South African soil. So that day was a grand day. It was a red letter day. It was an auspicious day in the history of South Africa, and for the past few days Nelson Mandela had been pleasantly besieged. Besieged means surrounded by the dignitaries. We have just read the dignitaries from 140 countries attended this inauguration ceremony. They were coming to pay their respect before the inauguration. He started receiving the respects for his courage, for the achievement by the dignitaries from all over the world. And the inauguration was going to be the largest ceremony ever held on South African soil. The ceremony took place in lovely sandstone amphitheatre formed by the Union Buildings in Pretoria. You know that where was the ceremony? What was the venue of the ceremony? It was the Union Buildings, and it was held in sandstone amphitheatre. What is an amphitheatre? A building without a roof, with many rows of seats rising in steps typical ancient Greece and Rome. So there you could see the stairs or the seats in rising way, like the lower one, like you can see in the theaters, okay, in an elevated manner. So for decades this had been the seat of white supremacy. For 3 centuries, 3 centuries means more than 300 years, the white were being in supremacy, and now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors. You know that rainbow is very colorful, comprising of 7 colors, but here the colors of the different kinds of skin, different skin colors were gathered together, and the nations for the installation of South Africa's first. And what was the purpose? What was the occasion? It was the South Africa's first democratic, non-racial government. So that's why it was a red letter day. 10th May 1994, the inaugurations were held in the sandstone amphitheatre of Union Buildings in Pretoria and was attended by the dignitaries from more than 140 countries. And it has become a red letter day in the history of South Africa because it was South Africa has become a democratic non-racial government. Okay. On that day, on that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Zinani as we are reading the biography of Nelson Mandela, so wherever you will see I, that means Nelson Mandela. He was accompanied by his daughter Zenani. On the podium, Mr. de Klerk was first sworn in as second deputy president. So who was the first one who took the first oath? That was Mr. de Klerk, who first sworn in. And what was his designation? The second deputy president. Then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as first deputy president. So you need to learn all these facts and figures very well. It should be on your tips or clear in your mind that who was the first deputy president and who was the first deputy president? Thabo Mbeki. When it was my turn, after then it was Mr. Nelson Mandela's turn, whose picture you can look above. I pledged to obey, and after then you know that na oath taking ceremony, you may have attended oath taking ceremony during your annual sports meet, okay, where or investiture ceremony where the student council took oath. So every such kind of the auspicious occasion has oath taking sworn in ceremony. So after then it was Nelson Mandela's pledge to obey. What did he pledge? I pledged to obey and uphold the constitution and to devote myself to the well-being of republic and its people. This was the oath which he took. To the assembled guest and the watching crowd he said, now it was the time to address the gathering. In his speech, what did he explain to the people all over the world? Today, all of us too, by our presence here, confer glory and hope to new-born liberty. Out of experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long, must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. So what did he say? In your presence, from the dignitaries and lakhs of people from all around the world and different colored people, confer glory and hope. What it is conferring? Giving it a new glory and hope to the newborn liberty. Who was the newborn liberty? Democratic, non-racial government. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster. Which was the extraordinary human disaster? The oppression of black by the white supremacy for 3 centuries. That lasted too long. Must be born a society. From that oppression has given a birth to a society of which the humanity will feel proud. We who were outlaws not for so long ago have today been given the rare privilege to be host to the nations of the world on our own soil. We thank all of our distinguished international guests for having come to take position with the people of our country of what is after all a common victory of justice, for peace and for human dignity. So what did he say in his address? That it was a rare privilege that has been given to the host. Host means the black people or the black community to the nations of the world, because 140 countries dignitaries have attended this ceremony. He thanked all the distinguished international guests for coming and being a part of such grandeur position with the people of the country, South Africans, of what overall it was not a common victory for justice, for peace and human dignity for South Africa only, but for all the people who were working and looking for equality and justice all over the world. It has given a ray of hope to all of them. One explanation is being given here. We were outlaws. Outlaws means because of its policy of apartheid, many countries had earlier broken off diplomatic relations with South Africa. You know that such kind of oppression always come. If something comes into the picture, people start boycotting you. They do not keep any kind of the financial or the economical relations with you. We have at last achieved our political emancipation. We pledged ourselves to liberate all our people from continuing bondage of liberty, deprivation, suffering, gender and other discrimination. So now they have got their political emancipation. Emancipation means freedom from restriction. Restriction from which thing? The bondage of labor or the bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering. Deprivation means when you are not eligible or authorized to get the benefits of something. Suffering, whether it is the gender discrimination or the racial discrimination. Never, never and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. Okay, such kind of the big achievement is for the humanity. It was not an achievement for a country. It was the achievement or the victory or the triumph of a humanity, and its sun will never shall never set. The glorious sun of human achievement. Let freedom reign. Let freedom win or continue or rule. God bless Africa. So after then you can see comprehension check, which you are going to solve in your fair notebook. So this is the end of today's lecture. It's very interesting, very motivating, that what kind of the struggle have been done by Nelson Mandela in his lifetime, that he'd spent 30 years in prison and had gone through unbearable sufferings, but he did not give up, or his what you can say, the people who were associated with him did not give up, and finally they won what they wanted to achieve. So the next part of the reading we will be continuing in our next lecture. Read the chapter thoroughly, learn all the facts and figures, like where the inauguration was held. Okay, United Buildings of Pretoria, in an sandstone amphitheater. When was the day? Who were appointed? Who was the first deputy president? Who was the second deputy president? So all these things must be on your tips. Wish you a beautiful day ahead.